In this video, we will be exploring the way that timber can be formed, joined and arranged to explore and express spatial relationships. The techniques we will use to achieve this are sourcing suitable timbers, composition and arrangement, measuring and marking, cutting various timber profiles, sanding timber, securing pieces via clamps, plug cutting dowels, using the Forstner bit on the drill press, assembling and fixing. This project explores composition, rhythm, hierarchy and contrast through model making. Design exploration can begin by drawing inspiration from other sources and forming new interpretations. This project highlights the importance of timber in the design process. Timber is a versatile material for modelling because it comes in a variety of pre-cut profiles and formats. It can easily be machined, cut, formed and joined. Each timber species has unique characteristics such as grain, colour, texture, durability, strength and machinability. These functional and aesthetic reasons should influence your selection of timbers. Successful models carefully select and pair different timbers, using the variances in tone, grain and texture as a tool for expressing important architectural concepts. Projects that are representing larger scales or less detail should generally refrain from including timbers heavy in grain. Alternatively, if the model represents a smaller scale and therefore showing high levels of detail, a strong grain or texture may be used to highlight key design elements. When selecting materials for your project, you should try to use recycled or scrap material where appropriate. The workshop has scrap bins for you to source materials. Speak to workshop staff for advice on your model and material selection. Planning is an important stage in creating a model, which can include sourcing all required materials and equipment, managing your expectations in terms of time, cost and skill level, and producing sufficient drawings or documentation to develop the project through discussion with peers or workshop staff. Select the appropriate tools to measure and mark the pieces for cutting. A steel rule and combination square are useful tools for measuring and drafting perpendicular lines. A coping saw will be used to cut small timber sections. Consider the width of the blade when marking cut lines to ensure your piece does not end up short. Using a sharp pencil, mark your cuts or construction joins on the timber. These can be easily sanded back or even expressed as part of the design aesthetic later. A bandsaw is an effective machine for quickly cutting pieces of timber when absolute precision isn't required. When cutting multiple pieces of timber at the same length, you can set up a side fence which can ensure you are cutting consistently to a set dimension. Hand tools can offer greater precision when cutting smaller timber profiles, however, relies on intricate work that requires a level of skill and patience. Securing the piece with table clamps will help cut accurately and safely. To saw timber, start with a backward pull to create a groove before continuing in a consistent back and forth motion. Once the timber pieces are cut, they are laid out to examine the relationships between scale, tone, texture and grain, which can be composed to explore design concepts. Dowels are timber pegs used for holding components together. Dowel construction can be used to include features of different timbers. In this case, the project does not conceal joins but rather celebrates the role that timber plays in the assemblage. For this project, a plug cutter is used to create dowels of various sizes from timber members. This allows for bespoke dowel with specific aesthetic and structural properties. When using dowel to join timbers, it is important that the dowel fits as tightly as possible. This ensures that the surfaces of the timbers come in contact with each other and guarantees a strong join. Using a Forstner drill bit, you can drill large holes into pieces of timber. Ensure the workpiece is secured tightly with a vise to the workbed before operating the drill press. When drilling into timber, it is important to plunge small increments at a time to remove chips and ensure that the drill bit does not overheat, which can cause damage to the workpiece and drill bit. After machining, the timber is lightly sanded to clean up rough edges and to smooth surfaces. Here, a decision can be made whether to leave penciled construction lines expressed or to remove them. A feature of this project is the application of timber as a versatile material, which is supplied in predefined components. Therefore, the most appropriate way to form connections between these components is to explore dowel construction, which has been selected to join pieces quickly and securely and enables a degree of flexibility and experimentation in composition. The final timber project abstracts spatial qualities that can be interpreted at any scale: the hierarchy and arrangement of a master plan, the rhythm and repetition of masses or planes in a building, the proportions of a piece of furniture, the contrast between light and heavy elements in a sculpture, or the interrelationships of a detailed construction joint. Timber grains, colours, tones and textures have been used to differentiate between timber components. These components have been developed through standard timber construction methods. Pre-cut timber profiles and standard machine outputs are used to represent a range of spatial relationships.